They're trying to say that it was an anti-ICE situation, but no ICE agents were injured, not even close. Vance said of political violence that, and I quote, "We got to stop it. And that starts, unfortunately, at the very top of the Democratic Party." He made other remarks suggesting that Democrats' political rhetoric encourages violence against our law enforcement. They do know that we can hear them. They do know that the World Wide Web is forever. That all of these things that they have said and that they have done has been chronicled. But JD Vance isn't having all that great of a week. He's embarrassed himself twice. He's shown that he is not leadership material, and a podcaster served him up a healthy dose of fact checking. Once again, that is chronicled on TikTok and YouTube. You could check that out. Um, he made other remarks suggesting that Democrats' political rhetoric encourages violence against our law enforcement. On Wednesday's edition of CNN Newsnight, Philip hosted a panel comprised of Bakari Stellers, Ben Ferguson, Kristen Davison, Adam Mockler, and Dan Abrams to discuss the issue. When the objection to Vance's quote being played came up, an incredulous Philip said, and I quote, "JD Vance's words are tearing people apart? Is that what you're saying?" For full transparency, I have the transcript. Sorry. Brain just Dory brain. It's been a long week. Kristen Davis. We have to include the media and social media. The fact that tonight the first thing we started talking about was JD Vance instead of what actually happened is irresponsible, and we have to start holding them accountable. There was some cross talking. Then Davison. Why do we? Why is why is that right where you go? Mockler. It's the vice president. More crosstalk, and then Davison. That's immediately tearing people apart. More crosstalk. Then Ferguson. This is serious. If we're going to talk about this, why not look into more crosstalk? Philip. JD Vance's words are tearing people apart? Is that what you're saying? Davison. No, no. You going right there instead of saying crosstalk. Philip, are you implying what the president said is divisive? More pretty much inaudible crosstalk. Mockler. Ben, you know whose words crosstalk. Davison. I'm not saying you don't get there. Crosstalk. Davison. You didn't go to Gavin Newsom's comments against ICE. Crosstalk. Philip. All right. Okay. Listen, I don't even know what to say. He's the vice president of the United States. More crosstalk. Phillips. We're going to play. We're going to play his comments. All right. That's the thing. JD Vance is not like a commentator or an independent journalist like myself, not just some historian and educator like myself, just floating around on the internet. He is the second in command of these here United States. People are still clamoring on and watching every single word, every breath that Kamala Debbie Harris is saying. People are still hanging on to the words of Barack and Michelle Obama. They are no longer in office. To the point where Barack Obama recently was protested in the name of Chesa. Yesterday, Kamala Harris on her book tour in New York, just blocks away from where Trump spoke at the UN, they chose to protest Kamala Harris. But they're upset that we're going to talk about the divisive words of JD Vance. Like, you understand that his words are divisive, but you still want to try to blame and put the accountability on somebody else. And it's always a Black woman that they want to put the accountability on. Like yesterday in the comment section, I pointed out to somebody, Kamala Harris is not in office. Well, she has power. What power does she have? She's not in office. And there are laws and amendments in place. Just because you watched and allowed Trump to piss all over the Emoluments Clause, to piss all over the Logan Act, does not mean that everybody else is going to go scorched earth and risk treason for the sake of this. This person said, she's famous, she's rich, and she wrote a book, therefore she's powerful. Do you know how many people are famous or notable, have some money in the bank, and wrote books? That doesn't mean that they have political sway. It does not mean that they're going to say something and everybody's going to change. You think that if Kamala Harris got on the phone with people or took a trip up to Capitol Hill, they would just switch and everything would be fixed? Absolutely not. First of all, y'all did not want her for the job, but you want her to come and do the job for free? I thought y'all said chattel slavery was dead. I thought y'all said y'all abolished it and the mentality that comes along with it. Y'all are the ones that said that we don't know slaves when every single day you try to make slaves out of us, especially us Black women. Hillary Clinton has money, wrote a book. People know her around the globe. Y'all not going to protest her. Nobody is asking her to step out and speak and fix this, that, and the other. Mitt Romney has money, has a name, a familial name, a legacy name, and has written multiple books. Y'all not camping out. When he did his book tour, wasn't nobody protesting him, talking about, hey, you need to go fix things for Palestinians. I need the United States to reconcile with its racism because never before has anybody looked at a vice president and said that they weren't qualified because they fulfilled the duties of their job description and not the duties of the job description of the president. It's like you all allowed your brains to be broken when it came to Kamala Harris. I hope it's not contagious either, Nightbird. I really do. Because, I cannot. And in between there, Miss Hannah Brown, I talked about you a little bit yesterday. I did a small little live later last night, just to get some ideas out, just in case I had forgotten by today. You are MAGA. You attempting to be condescending and trying to gaslight people. It didn't work, and you knew it wasn't. That's why you turned your comments off. You drove 13 hours, and you had front row tickets, seats, which means no sooner than you heard about it, you left to go be there, or you knew somebody so you could have the best seats. And before anything changed regarding what could be viewed from your page, you were busy reposting videos that were proclaiming Charlie Kirk to be Christ-like. How's that music career going to go now? How is that management team doing for you now? How is that career in entertainment going to kick off? Because the people that you're suckling up to, that you're essentially cucking for, you do realize you're not what they're looking for. You don't have that aesthetic. And no, I'm not taking digs on her appearance. I need you all to use your smarticle particle. Y'all know the aesthetic the eugenics-driven white supremacists are going for. Hannah, you live in a city where a Black man was gunned down in front of his children, and it was recorded. You talked about that being so horrific for Kirk, but you didn't attend a vigil, you didn't speak up, no nothing. And now you're proclaiming that you're not political, you're not this, you're not that. It's just a horrible way to go out. If that was the case, you could have sent thoughts and prayers. You could have put him and his family on your church's prayer list. But you decided to go to Kirkapalooza and allow the 2 to 3 business minutes for thoughts and prayers and a little faux homage paying for Charlie before engaging in nothing but hateful rhetoric and harmful, tyrannical politics. You took the time to attend something that his siblings, his cousins, his parents didn't attend. You went because you're MAGA. You may not wear the moniker of MAGA, but you wear the ideologies you embody. And that video you put up, you won't see much change in your numbers. MAGA will give you a follow, but they won't watch your videos. They won't buy your products. They won't gift you. The only time they come up off of money is to make sure that you can keep a platform and a roof over your head when you say something despicable and overtly racist so that they can give you a pat on the back because they feel like you're owning the darkies. But the only person that they're going to buy merchandise from, that they're truly going to support financially and make sure that they have a voice and a career, is Trump. MAGA is Trump. Trump is MAGA. Without Trump, there is nothing. And the rest of you all that try to grift off of MAGA and believe that, your generational wealth, your birthright of entitlement due to the systems of racism is going to come through MAGA, it's not. It's not. This is why you all are so quick to come unraveled and fight tooth and nail when you're fact checked, when the truth of you comes out and you claim everything is doxing. Because if you get into that little sweet spot where they're willing to give you a little bit, you can't afford to lose it, literally. And it's quite ironic, Hannah, the content that you make, you don't realize that you are the Karen in all of your skits. You can see the frustration, but you don't get, nor do you see the frustration that you bring to society. Now, for all the Hannahs, let's talk about their Humpty Dumpty Cankersaurus Rex Trump. Coming from the BBC.com, Trump will move World Cup games from unsafe cities. The only unsafe city I can think of would be DC, and not because the actual residents, the full-time and part-time residents there, it's just one resident and his friends. I don't know, don't judge me for this, but I get real uncomfortable around, 34-time convicted felons and adjudicated rapists who like to be around pedophiles and adjudicated and convicted rapists and sexual offenders and fraudulent individuals with rap sheets that are as long as I am tall. And he just seems to have a knack of his daughters marrying men who come from men who've done time in prison for fraud. Yeah. So let's see. US President Donald Trump says he will move matches at the 2026 World Cup from any cities he thinks are unsafe. So if it's Democratic run and predominantly not white, so World Cup is going to be in some broke down, dilapidated town with nothing for tourists to do and no type of infrastructure to handle the 11 U.S. cities are scheduled to host matches at next summer's 48-team tournament, which will be co-hosted by Canada and Mexico. The U.S. will host 78 of the 104 fixtures, including the final. World governing body FIFA is in charge of organizing the tournament and selecting host cities, and any changes now or at a later stage would face logistical challenges. It is also unclear whether Trump has the authority to make such changes, though he does have a close working relationship with its president, Gianni Infantino, and is chair of the World Cup Task Force. First of all, he doesn't have the authority, and he doesn't have a close working relationship. I saw that back and forth between the two of them, as Gianni, chef's kiss, treated Trump like a toddler that was being babysat by him for the first time. Think, oh, you're such the goodest boy. You want to touch this? We give this to the ones that behave the most. You want to have it when we're done? Yeah, you can touch it now. Now, if you're a good boy, you can keep it forever and ever. Like, that's how he's treated. Like, that is how he is treated. And no, he doesn't have the authority to do this. And he does not understand logistically what all goes into these things, the security that has to be there. First of all, you have to be able to be in locations that have accommodations to not just take on who's coming to see these events, but the teams, everything that goes along with the teams, all of the staff, everything, the family members of like there's a lot. There's so much. And people don't think about that. People think, oh, well, there's a coach and a trainer. Do you know how many members of the coaching staff there are? And then there's medical staff. There's the transportation team. A lot of times these teams have their own dietary departments and stuff like that travel with them. Their own, like, it will be safe for the World Cup, Trump told reporters in the Oval Office. If I think it isn't safe, we'll move it to a different city. No, this is not like a last minute change to your kid's birthday party because you originally thought 100 people were coming and now you found out that there were 5 and you're like, oh, well, instead of having it here, we'll just go down to the local Chuck E. Cheese. Like, Trump does a lot of things that lets you know that, one, he's not a good business person. 2, although they tried to portray him as this great micromanager, we now can see firmly that is a lie. 3, he doesn't have any friends. He's never put together a birthday party, an anniversary party, just a little kickback at the house. Because those of you all, where my hosts at? Where my people that host for the holidays or host for random things, the game parties and the game nights and stuff like that, you know that we're not even talking about you hosting and coordinating for thousands of people. Anybody who's ever scheduled or been in charge of a meet and greet, a networking event, no. You cannot keep changing things. Like, I know somebody back during my wedding planning days. And oh, did I love wedding planning back then? But I specialized in the cozy, very personal brides and grooms, etc. But there was one that we mutually, hey San Juan, we mutually decided to split ways professionally. Since then, we have grown into amazing friends. But she kept wanting to change things. And I'm like, we can't keep doing this because you have to put deposits down. And the more you change, and logistically, I cannot make your day happen for you. If I've planned out a route to go here, I can't do this. I may have your guest sitting someplace for 3 hours at this point, trying to get all to these places where you want to have these pictures because in your mind, this is great. In reality, it's not. But that's, Trump is Trump. The 11 host cities in the U.S. are Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Seattle. Trump was asked specifically about matches in the Democratic run cities of Seattle and San Francisco. Both are due to host 6 games. He also mentioned Los Angeles, another Democratic stronghold, which will host the 2028 Olympics in 8 matches next year. If any city we think is going to be even a little bit dangerous for the World Cup or for the Olympics, but for the World Cup in particular, but they're playing in so many cities, we won't allow it to go. We'll move it around a little bit, he said, because in his mind, he's punishing these cities by not allowing them to have revenue. Mhm, mhm. These people have already bought tickets. These people already have hotels, Airbnb. These people have already decided to bunk with their favorite or least favorite relative over there. These people already have um, dinner reservations and all of these things. It's already set. You can't just pick up and go, well, it was going to be in this city, but we're going to move it here. One, you don't know what's on the calendar or on the schedule for all these other cities because while these events, the Olympics and the World Cup are going on, other sports are taking place as well. There are other things that have been scheduled in concerts, exhibits, you name it. But we have a POTUS that does not seem to understand anything. And to close out the day, we have coming from news, and that's KNEWZ. Um, Trump caught in inflation lie. You know, it's the little things that warm my heart. Hmm? And after this week, I just looked at some of these things. It was like, oh, be still, my beating heart. He will continue to give us little nuggets of enjoyment at his expense. Because a fool, his money, sense, and good health will always be easily separated. Mm. And it's even better when it's separated over a little spot of tea with crumpets and a scone or two. Yeah, there's never there. President Donald Trump confidently announced that he has already solved inflation and that costs are down. In a Fox News interview, he declared, we have almost no inflation anymore. And I grew a penis in a petri dish last night. I did not. However, the latest consumer price index, the CPI, data paints a very different picture. So does everything around us. Like this is something we can confirm for ourselves by opening our eyes, looking to the left, looking to the right. We can see. Yeah, I can. Contrary to Trump's claims, inflation isn't just rising, it's rising at a fast rate. Consumer prices raised 0.4% in August compared to July, leading the annual inflation rate to 2.9%, the highest since January. These figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics highlight ongoing price pressures despite the president's assertion. Now, remember, he was hiring folks saying that, he was firing folks saying that, it was just a plot against him, that these numbers wasn't right, even with his own people in there. Price hikes. Economists warn that Trump's policies, including higher tariffs on nearly all imports and tougher immigration enforcement, are driving prices upward. Brian Colton, chief economist at Fitch Ratings, noted slowly, quite slowly in fact, but surely, we are seeing evidence of more tariff pass through to consumers. He explained that these policies are driving up costs that shoppers ultimately face at the checkout line. Now, of course, there's pushback from the White House. White House press secretary, take it to the face, Barbie, Caroline Levitt, argued the official inflation figures don't capture the full picture. The information from your administration from people you handpicked to run numbers that they told us they had access to numbers and figures that nobody else had access to. That everybody else previously was lying to them that this was the come through with the come through and that they was going to be open, honest, and transparent. You're saying that that's not the full picture. When we don't get a full sentence from Trump, y'all say that that's a full thought. But when we get the full picture from your administration, you're going to tell us that's not the full picture. Okay. I know I wear glasses. I know I wear, but I can. Okay. I can see clearly now the bullshit's gone. They keep putting obstacles in our way. As the Trump economic agenda continues to take effect, the trillions of dollars in private sector and foreign investments, historic tax cuts, massive deregulation, and energy dominance that the president is superheading will fuel an economic boom, she insisted. A what? A what? A what? A what? A what? A what? This is like somebody took pieces from the game of life and pieces from Monopoly and pieces from the game Sorry and just mixed it up and let a 2-year-old make the rules for this game. And it's like you got to lose everything to win. But when you win, you get to collect everything from everybody else and act like you earned it. While the board is completely decimated, everybody got to pretend like it is the prettiest, shiniest, most goldenest, platinumest game board ever. Okay. So she said, as the Trump economic agenda continues to take effect, the trillions of dollars in private sector and foreign investments, where they at? Historic tax cuts for who? For who? See, that's the caveat that they love to leave out. Massive deregulation and energy dominance. We're not going to dominate with deregulation. We're going to have an influx of debt. We're going to have an influx of environmental issues. We're going to have an influx of generational trauma and disability because of contaminated soils, waters, long-standing ailments that will be in children that will not be properly diagnosed for generations. And no, I'm not reaching. It's happened multiple times in our history. We discussed that in the book series Savage Inequalities, which we will be getting back to after the Kamala book. Okay. Food prices also impacted. Food prices, a major inflation driver, surged last month. Grocery costs climbed 0.6%, the largest monthly increase in nearly 3 years. Restaurant prices also rose 0.3%, matching July's pace. Tariffs on heavily imported foods are a motivating factor. Coffee prices, for example, jumped 3.6% in 1 month, the biggest increase since 2011, and are up 20.9% year over year. The U.S. relies heavily on foreign imports for coffee, which makes these tariffs especially impactful. Yeah, because a lot of people were like, hey, Mike Brooke. A lot of people were like, I like this type of coffee anyway. And I want it. Yeah, you still got to import it, dumb fuck. Like you all think that all of these different coffees like originate from all these different countries? No. This is why it says Colombian roast, Italian roast, French roast, not grown. Just don't be like my buddy SC drinking booty meat juice coffee. Cafe Luwak. That's booty meat juice coffee. I know coffee's supposed to be brown, but not the brown you're supposed to flush down. I'm just saying. Still love you, SC. Still love you, but I ain't drinking no coffee at your house. Mm-mm. And keep in mind, this time when I come to visit, I can have wine. Be stocked up. Restart. The U.S. relies heavily on foreign imports for coffee, which makes these tariffs especially impactful. Meanwhile, Trump's immigration policies are tightening the labor market. Uh, Sung Won Song, a finance professor at Loyola Marymount University, warned CNN that deportations reduce the immigrant workforce, pushing up labor costs and food prices. And now Trump wants to have his golden immigration card for HB1 visas, which would cost companies, it's the companies that would have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, they're not, in order for them to recoup and to make the profits that they want, they would have to severely decrease those people's pay and increase the products and services that would be produced. Yeah, no. No. Oh. Okay, hold on. I don't know how I'm gonna try to do this. I don't know how well you all are gonna be able to see it, but you're gonna be able to hear it. Just to bring a little joy to your Friday. Okay. Hold on. Substack, I'm gonna move you up here so that hold on. All of my cameras are in the same place. I don't even know if this is gonna work. But we're gonna experiment here together, because why not? It's a get your mind out the gutter. It ain't that type of experiment. I keep forgetting y'all heathens. I got to specify. Ooh, wait a minute. Okay. Facebook, not Facebook, TikTok. Okay. Hopefully it's got volume. We're about to find out. But it's mostly just listen, okay? No, you get out. I built this wooden house you're chilling in, you jerk. Dude, I will track you back to the desert. So help me God, if you scream at me one more time, I will relocate you to the Mojave Desert, you $5 foot-long ferret. No, you get out. I built this wooden house you're chilling in, you jerk. Dude, I will drive your ass back to the desert. So help me God, if you scream at me one more time, I will relocate you to the Mojave Desert, you $5 foot-long ferret. There is no way for me to properly explain that video. Shout out to the person that sent that. Can't remember who it was. I've been cracking up about that. Henry is hilarious. And I went down a rabbit hole. The only thing that seemed to scare Henry is that he was driven out into the desert and was threatened to be left there. And Henry chilled out till they got back to the house. Then Henry was like, I'm talk shit again. You brought me back home. Joke's on you. Now, hold on. Before I let you guys go, because I need to make sure. I don't know why this time around the time zones are kicking my tail this time. Okay. So tonight, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern, we'll be picking back up for Learning Through Black Literature with 107 Days by Madam Kamala Debbie Harris. If you missed the first three parts, they are up on YouTube, to go. As always, if you don't mind, make sure you are subscribed on Substack and on TikTok, and make sure you're subscribed also on YouTube, and make sure you turn on notifications, click the little bell. Okay, do not forget in the link, there's classes, there's merch, there's resources, there's all the things. And if you have not checked out Taz After Dark, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Hmm? Now, I got to go fix this nail because I don't know how I split it down the middle, but we're gonna rectify that because that is not shit. But as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Hopefully, I will see you all later. Make sure you go out and get into some good trouble. But remember, nothing, and I mean absolutely do nothing that requires bail in this economy. Okay? Mm-mm. Nothing. But other than that, y'all go be great.